Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a blind build for the Hunter. And this build essentially is going to be all about blinding targets, keeping pretty much everything blind as much as we can. If you guys don't know, there's a new mod coming called Arc Compounding, meaning that whenever you blind something, whatever is blind essentially just takes more arc damage. So today's goal is to use blind as many things as possible. We're also getting a ton of survivability and overshields, and essentially just make it so everything's easier to kill since everything is just blind. So if you're looking for an arc build that specifies in just blinding a bunch of targets, then this is gonna be the perfect one for you. And besides that, it just does a lot of damage. It will do a ton of damage, so there's also that. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. And first, to start, we have our subclass set up. So first of all, for the super, we are gonna be on arc staff, since all the roaming supers are gonna be getting buff, and I kinda wanted to try out arc staff with this. It doesn't specifically have to be the arc staff, it can be pretty much any other arc super. It's not really going to change the build at all, but I would definitely recommend that you give the arc staff a try, since it's about to get buff, so you can use it more often, and use so it can do more damage to champions. Now for your class ability, I'm going to recommend that you go with Gambler's Dodge, just so you can get your melee back a little bit faster. Now for our melee, it doesn't really matter which one you go, combination blows, disorienting blows, they're both going to work. Now for your grenade, it doesn't really matter the grenade you have. I had the flashbang grenade on, but it won't really matter at all. Now for our aspects, we're going to go with flow state and also lethal current. Flow state is essentially going to give us pretty much everything that we want. Whenever we defeat a jolted target, it makes us amplified, so it gives us a very easy way of becoming amplified. And whenever we're amplified, our dodge recharges more quickly, so we can use it more often. And we also get some damage assistance when we use our dodge, as well as getting increased reload speed on our weapons whenever we're amplified. So as long as we're amplified, which this thing also makes sure that we're pretty much always amplified, we're always going to be having just damage assistance, extra reload speed, and just ridiculous regen on our dodge ability. And that's why our second aspect, lethal current. This will let us jolt enemies with our melee after using our class ability, as well as doing some aftershocks. So whatever we melee is just going to take a little bit more damage after meleeing it, and if we happen to melee an enemy that's already jolted, then it's going to blind it. So it just gives us another way of blinding targets just with our melee. And this is also going to work with our super. So whenever we dodge in the middle of super, it's going to apply those aftershocks, adding a bit of extra damage to our super so we can put in more damage with it. Now if you're not a big fan of lethal current, then don't worry, because you could actually just change this Tempest Strike or Ascension if you like those more. And the build will pretty much be the same in case you don't like lethal current or you just don't happen to want to run the arc staff. You can just switch it to something else, and pretty much like the rest of the build will pretty much be the same. Now moving on to the fragments, the first one we're going to have is going to be the Spark of Resistance, and this is just to increase our survivability. Whenever we're surrounded, we gain some damage resistance, meaning that we're harder to kill, and overall it just adds a little bit to our safety. A lot of the time things are going to be blinded all around us, so that will also help us survive, but having Spark of Resistance and having that damage resistance is definitely going to be pretty nice. After that, we're going to have the Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while amplified will spawn some orbs of power. And this is pretty great. We're always going to be amplified, so we're always going to be making some more extra orbs of power. And those are going to help us get our abilities back, as well as also help with our survivability, since it's going to help us heal as well. Next up, we're going to have the Spark of Shock, and this is going to let our grenades just jolt targets. Since we're going to be spamming our grenades a lot, they're basically just going to be helping us with that clear and just deal more damage thanks to the jolt. And the final fragment that we're running on this build, and one of the most important ones, is going to be the Spark of Beacons. Whenever we're amplified, our arc, special, and heavy final blows will create a blinding explosion. And it seems that there's no cooldown or a very short cooldown in between activations for Spark of Beacons, so you can pretty much just activate this thing over and over again. So as long as we have special ammo or heavy ammo, we're just constantly going to be blinding targets with final blows, meaning that things are just going to be blinded all the time. This right here is going to be a big part of the build, and one of the reasons that things are just going to be like permanently blinded. Now for our exotic weapon, we're going to have the Edge, and essentially this thing just keeps getting better and better as the season goes on. Now because of the new mod Arc Compounding, this thing is not only going to be doing extra damage for being a grenade launcher, but also for being an arc weapon. So this thing is just stacking buffs on top of buffs and just making it even better. So yeah, the Edge Series is going to be a fantastic choice. Every time that we get a final blow with the grenade launcher, it's going to blind everything around it. It's also going to spawn mods that are going to help like kill things and blind even more things. as was pretty much also amplifying us with every single kill. This was just like the perfect weapon to use when it comes to making a blind build, and it's also gonna stun 2 different types of champions. The Unstoppables, thanks to the blind from the mods, as was just being able to stun overloads because it's overload grenade launcher. Now for the weapons that you want to pair up with the Edge series, you're pretty much going to go with an arc machine gun. It doesn't really matter which machine gun it is, as long as it's arc, it's going to work, since every time that we get a kill with a machine gun, we're going to apply that blinding explosion and just make things a lot easier to kill. And overall, it's just a weapon that's going to be able to take advantage of all the mods, while still having a lot of ammo so we can just constantly use it. Now for exotic, of course we're gonna have the mod keepers. I did try out a couple of the exotics, but the synergy of the mod keepers and the Edge series is just like too good to pass up, that some of the other exotics just couldn't make up that difference. So again, we're just going with the mod keepers. And these mods are pretty much gonna be doing everything: blinding, jolting, giving us overshields, increasing our survivability, and also just our killing and blinding potential. This is just amazing, and just having them on also makes the Edge series just spawn even more mods. So overall, the amount of mods in the field just like doubles just by equipping the mod keepers. Now for the artifact, the main mods that you want to worry about are the grenade launcher ones, overload grenade launcher, and also concussive reload. So our Edge series can actually apply debuff, and then also trace evidence is also going to be a really good one, since whenever we kill some blinded targets, we're going to generate some ionic traces, and whenever we boost it, picking up those ionic traces are also going to give us a ton of armor charge. So if you boost this one, you're pretty much guaranteed to always be like at max armor charge. Now Retinal Burn is also going to be another good one, and this one's mostly going to be used by our machine gun. Our arc machine gun's going to be the one using this one, since we don't really go for precision hits with our grenade launcher, but with the machine gun we definitely can. And since we're going to be boosting trace evidence, Retinal Burn will also be boosted, meaning that our blinding is not only going to be on that initial target that we shoot the machine gun, it's going to be an explosion that affects that target and pretty much everything around it. So yeah, it's even going to be adding even more blinding to the pile, so in case we don't have Edge series ammo, in case we don't have grenades, which is going to be very rare, we're still always going to be able to blind things no matter pretty much what. And those are pretty much the important ones that we currently have right now. But from the new ones, you also want to use arc compounding, which is going to make it so anything that's blinded takes more arc damage. And also the tick of it, I think, is also going to be really good. Whenever you get some rapid precision hits where you're surrounded, you get some armor charge. A lot of times we are going to be surrounded just because of the way that you play with this build with the grenade launcher. So that's also going to give you even more armor charge on top of all the armor charge you're already getting. Or if you're looking for a bit of extra survivability, you could also use Emergency Flare to improve emergency reinforcements. Emergency reinforcements usually uses all your armor stacks to activate, but with this perk on, you essentially use everything but one, so you always keep one armor charge, and since we're going to be getting so much armor charge, you can pretty much get away with using this and have that extra survivability from emergency reinforcements. It's not a lot, it's like 10% increased damage resistance, but it could save you life in certain situations. So that is something that you could go for as well. And lastly, let's take a look at the armor mods we have on this build. And first, let's start with the helmet. We're going to have Harmonic Siphon, so we can make some more orbs of power with both our heavy and our special. And then we have Heavy Ammo Finder as well as Special Ammo Finder, just so we can be topped off on both of our weapons. Now for the gauntlets, we're keeping it pretty simple. We have Grenade Kickstart as well as Firepower. We're going to be getting a lot of grenade kills, so might as well make some orbs with them. And Grenade Kickstart will just make it so we can throw even more grenades with all that armor charge we're going to be getting. Now for the chest piece, I pretty much just have the resistances. If you did end up going with like emergency reinforcements, then you can just take one of those and put that on. You know, that's going to be up to you. For your boots, you definitely want Arc Scavenger, just so you can keep your heavy and your special topped off. And also Absolution as well as Recuperation, so we can get our abilities back faster. And also heal with the orbs. And lastly, for the class item, we're going to have Bomber, so we can get our grenade back faster when using our class ability. And Reaper, so we can make some orbs after using our class ability, just giving us even more ways of making orbs. And lastly, Powerful Attraction, so we can pick up all those orbs we're making when using our class ability. And with that, it's actually going to be the end of the build. Now you pretty much know everything about this build that you pretty much need to know. The gameplay loop for this build is gonna be pretty simple. You throw your grenade so you can jolt some targets, you kill those targets to get amplified, and then you pretty much just start going to town with your heavy and your special, just constantly blinding things. You wanna keep throwing your grenades every time you pretty much get them, and constantly use your class ability to make more orbs, and also for picking up all the orbs that are around pretty much wherever you're killing all the enemies. It's gonna be a pretty simple build, but it's gonna be very fun, and the enemies just constantly being blinded just makes it so much easier to deal with pretty much anything, and any ads that you find are basically gonna be constantly just getting destroyed over and over again. You do have to be a little careful with some of the mini bosses and champions, because you know, you can't blind those, but as long as you keep your distance and play smart about it, you should be able to deal with them pretty easily. Especially since the grenade launcher, the S-Series, can put out some damage against some of those champions. It is ridiculous the amount of damage you can actually put on. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, hopefully you guys give it a try. Later today when the buffs and mods are actually out, I would definitely want to try out that new chest piece, or I should say the buff chest piece, and see if we can make a build going for that to just get the most out of it. So if you guys want to check that out later, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and just kind of be on the lookout for that. Anyways, thank you all for stopping by, thank you all for all the support lately, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone, have a good rest of the day, peace.